Welcome to NBL Canada Live Weekly. I am Kobe K, joined alongside my partner as always, Mr. Brett Hedges, bringing you the absolute best in weekly highlights, game recaps, top stories, power rankings, and of course our exclusive player interviews, your one-stop shop for all things NBL Canada related. Brett, before we get into this thing, February 3rd marked the clash at the Coliseum. The London Lightning come in riding a 9-game win streak. The Express struggling a little bit. What a game, what a turnout, almost 3,000 in attendance. The community came together with the league, Commissioner Magley in the house. What an opportunity for us to sit down, call a game, and be a part of such a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it was really a big piece of history in the history of Canadian professional basketball, if you want to say it like that. A humongous event. 3 years in a row, we've had the Clash at the Coliseum at Caesars Casino, Windsor. We're the first professional basketball team to have a pro game inside a casino, so that's pretty cool to be a part of. Almost 3,000 people got to check out this game, and almost 500 free tickets were given out for children thanks to the key sponsor of the game, Vito's Pizzeria, and it was just a fantastic night. Me and you got to call the game. We sat alongside the commissioner, talked about a little bit about the NBL Canada and what it means to have an event like this for a league that's going into its 5th season. And I had a blast when we know the Windsor Express had a blast because they had an offensive outpour. They won 114-93. Brandon Robinson, 34 points, and Tony Bennett, 17 assists. And just a lot of good contributions across the board.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the game. The Windsor Express offense struggling coming into that game, shooting, I think, 30% collectively from beyond the arc. They really found their stroke from three-point territory. It was just a real team effort. They went into their bench. They got production from multiple players. Tony Bennett pitching dimes all night, like you said. And it was a bit of a coming out party for the Windsor Express as they have now seemed to find themselves. I think that was a real building block for them to say, you know what, we're the returning champs. We're still very much here, and we're not going anywhere, because since they've won an additional game against the London Lightning, we'll talk about that a little later, but it was definitely a coming out party for the Windsor Express.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so many guys just getting the opportunity to shine. Shaquille Keith comes out to mind to me. He had 16 points in the first half and really helped this Windsor Express just be able to finish plays. Shaquille Keith coming over from the NBA D-League this year in his first year of professional basketball, and he just shined in the big moment. You could tell he had been playing in front of those big crowds before at Kilgore and wherever he had played before. So I thought that was a really cool experience to see those guys shine, but to see Brandon Robinson and Tony Bennett, the veterans, just making it happen all night long. It was really special to see and interesting to see too. We thought that the London Lightning I thought that they were going to come and win their 10th game straight, to be perfectly honest, but I was wrong. The Windsor Express defense really showed up, and it was 16-point deficit at half, and they never really recovered after that.
And that Windsor Express defense still doing their thing, averaging only under 100 points, opponents' points per game. First in steals. I believe they're second in blocks. So this is a defense that is very much still at a championship level. So really for them, it was all about getting that offense going, and that definitely happened.
Yeah, absolutely, but I don't want to discount the London Lightning, what they've done at all. They actually bounced back the next night and beat the St. John Millrats at home. So that's a tough turnaround in itself after getting beat by the Express in such a pinnacle game. But the Windsor Express also suffered a loss on the Friday to Orangeville, and then they met again on Saturday, and that was just a classic battle. Some really intense play in the final seconds and the final moments. And a final 3 from Ryan Anderson falls short, and the Windsor Express win 2 straight over the London Lightning and really give themselves a lot of room now in the NBL Canada Central.
But that rivalry will live on. Both franchises with 2 championships each respectively. The London Lightning very much a title contender in the NBL. Well, folks, we're going to pass it on up now and check out our NBL Canada Week in a Flash and let you guys know what happened over the course of the last 7 days.
This is your NBL Canada Week in a Flash, starting in the Atlantic Division. In their only game of the week, the Halifax Hurricanes squeezed out a 2-point win over the Island Storm, 90-88. It was a game that saw 6 different players score in double digits, led by 18 points from Justin Johnson. He was the top performer of the game, and he caught up with Vince Williams in the post-game recap.
I just wanted to be aggressive. Coach called a lot of pick and roll for me, so I just wanted to attack the big and try to get him on his heels and just make a play. Big sagging off, so I had open shots, so I took it.
Kind of a disappointing finish in the last ball game here between St. John Millrats and yourselves. What were you guys trying to do after a week of practice to prepare for the Island Storm coming in next week?
Well, we worked on a lot of defense every day in practice, one-on-one defense, upside defense. And I think it kind of carried over into the game today. Our first half was really good. We held them to 38 points, but the second half they kind of made a run. But as you know, it's a long game, and we still good.
The St. John Millrats did their best to keep pace and finished the week going 2-1, which included a 2-game road trip to Ontario. Their first stop was to the Meridian Center to face the Niagara River Lions, and it was a late-game heroics of Gabe Freeman that gave his club the 99-97 win. Freeman would take the spotlight once again in a different fashion the next night as he would face his former team, the London Lightning. Gabe had a good showing, finishing with 23 points and 10 rebounds, but his club would fall 102-94. Overall, Freeman was happy to come back.
It's what I established here is amazing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not no superstar. I'm a normal guy. You know what I mean? And all these people here, I'm normal to them. You know what I mean? And I can step out here and do this on the floor in front of them. So it's good. You know what I mean? And for them to embrace me like they do, it's nothing but love, man. So it's nothing for me to come here and show respect.
St. John would bounce back in a big way when they visited the Miracles at the Coliseum Center on the strength of a late fourth quarter surge fueled by 32 points from Anthony Anderson. The Moncton Miracles went 1-2 this week, dropping a couple of close games. They weren't able to keep up with the Storm in the first game of the week and were down by 1 point. A late fourth quarter collapse proved to be their undoing when they hosted the Millrats in their next game. But the Miracles figured things out in the final game of the week against the Storm once again, but this time at home. Miracles forward Cordell Gianti assembled a double-double of 21 points and 11 boards against his former club. The Windsor Express kicked off the week with their annual Clash of the Coliseum event held at Caesars Casino in Windsor, and they welcomed the league-leading London Lightning, who came into the contest riding a 9-game win streak. The Express dominated from the opening tip and never looked back on the strength of Brandon Robinson's game-high 32 points. A performance like this is exactly what Windsor needed as they came into the contest on a 2-game losing streak.
There was a point in the season where we was taking tough shots, too many individual shots, and tonight we played together as a team, moved the ball, and it resulted in wide open shots.
I think this is probably the best collective effort I've seen from you guys this season. I mean, everyone has stepped on the floor.
The best is yet to come.
Oh my goodness.
The best is yet to come. It's just one game.
The Express were unable to keep the steam going as they fell to Orangeville the next game in a 1-point heartbreaker, 89-88. They would, however, bounce back in the second meeting of the week against London, where Chris Commons would step up for his squad with 21 points and 8 boards. After a last-second win last week, the Orangeville A's delivered another clutch performance in the closing seconds of the game, and Rick Bodiford comes through again as he hits a corner 3 that would be eventually all that the A's needed to outlast the Express. The A's 2-game winning streak would come to an end at the hands of the visiting Niagara River Lions, 93-90, despite the contributions of 19 points from Flanard Whitfield. The Lightning went 2-1 this week and saw their league-leading 9-game winning streak come to a halt against the Express at Caesars Windsor. They bounced back with a decisive performance down the stretch against St. John and dropped their second game in 1 week to the Express. Warren Ward hit big shots all week, scoring 24 against the Millrats and 27 against the Windsor Express in a losing effort. The Niagara River Lions split their games this week with a loss to the St. John Millrats at home. Then they went on the road and picked up their first ever win in Orangeville as they beat the A's 93-90 to close out the week. And that's your NBL Canada Week in a Flash.
Welcome back to the NBL Canada podcast. Next up is our 3 top stories. Brett, you're going to tell us about a gentleman that was the recipient of Chuck Miller's Cool Stat of the Week the last time we got together.
Absolutely, yes. Anthony Stover of the St. John Mill Rats, the NBL Canada's Player of the Week, and what a week it was for Mr. Stover, the UCLA product. Averaged 13 rebounds and 6 blocks over 3 games. Yes, 6 blocks over 3 games, and he has just been a phenomenal player to watch. Every time you're looking at highlights, you're usually seeing Anthony Stover when we're talking about anything that's going on in the Atlantic Division. He's really been a centerpiece of the St. John Mill Rats, a really successful club and a really exciting club to watch. Championship teams and franchises can build around guys like that, and if he continues to play at a high level and they have the intangibles around them, they're a really dangerous team. I know we've said a lot about them, but I can't say enough, really.
For me, it was the performance Anthony Anderson put on against the Moncton Miracles. 32 points, just fantastic game. 4 dimes, 5 boards, 4 steals. A real well-rounded performance, most definitely carrying the Mill Rats, who desperately needed a victory on the road, and they got it done. Johnny Mahan also with 5 triples in that one, but it was all Anthony Anderson. The second time this year he scored over 30 points. He's averaging 15 and 5 a game, but every now and then the NBL Canada's all-time leading scorer erupts, puts the team on his back, and can win a game.
Absolutely, yeah, and he's a former MVP for a reason. Double A, as he's affectionately known as. He can knock down any shot that's in the building. I remember in one of my first years broadcasting with the Windsor Express, I was just amazed at how well this guy was playing and just knocking down shots. And when he was away from the league really missed him. So he's been a big part of the success in St. John. They really love him there. Double A, you're a fantastic player, and I can't wait to see you play when the Windsor Express have you guys in town soon. So.
Most definitely one of my favorite players in the NBL.
Mm-hmm. And my second story is just the amount of close games that we've had in the NBL this past week. We've had 6 games that ended with a margin of 3 points or less. 3 of those games by 1 point, and just absolute barn burners. You saw, just for example, the Windsor Express, they lost a barn burner to the Orangeville A's. They lose at the buzzer on a Rick Bodiford 3. The next night they go into London and they defend, and Ryan Anderson doesn't knock down the 3 at the end, and so they split. And it's really just shows the parity of this league, and it just goes to show how every night the fans are getting their money worth, and it's just fantastic basketball. I can't say enough about how hard everyone's competing and how much everyone's putting into the season so far, and we're not even halfway through. It's really been a really cool week to watch NBL Canada basketball.
And interesting, in the London Lightning Windsor Express game, it was Ryan Anderson that took the final shot and tried to put the final nail in the coffin, if you will, for the Windsor Express. Didn't manage to get it down, but Tony Bennett also hit 2 big triples in the closing moments. He really is Mr. Fourth Quarter for that team. And then Kirk Williams Jr. with the 2 putbacks. That was a really exciting game.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned earlier, it kind of really gets the Windsor Express going a little bit. They had been struggling, so to speak. They had lost 3 of 4 games, and they really needed a kickstart. And by getting 2 of 3 wins this week, with both being over the London Lightning, they've really given themselves some confidence this week, I'd have to say.
Right, but we won't sleep on those London Lightning because we know how good that team is. And I read, again, over 7,000 in attendance one game. Well, folks, we're going to throw it upstairs now to the broadcast team from London, and they're going to deliver our NBL Canada weekly power rankings.
Hi, my name is Marty Thompson. I'm joined by Chris Croucher, and this is the power rankings for the past 2 weeks. Chris, Niagara coming in at last once again, 8th in our power ranking.
It's been a trying season for the River Lions, but they do have some high notes. They got a win against Windsor there, and they're having a rough go of it right now, but there's some hope there.
Coming in at number 7 is the Moncton Miracle, staying from the last power rankings we had. Again, another team having a bit of trouble. Did have an Ontario road trip, though, but went winless there.
Well, I found it interesting. Their game against London kind of summarized everything that is kind of going wrong with this team, because they put up 130 points, which is excellent, but when you allow 135, it kind of defeats the good vibes that come out of getting 130 points. So for Moncton, they've got to tighten up on defense. They're scary. Any team that they face has to worry about the fact that they might get 130 dropped on them, so they could move up if they get it tightened up.
Moving down to number 6 is the Island Storm, another team that's struggling.
The Island Storm, they did a whole bunch of roster changes, so I mean, this is a completely new team, really. They're trying to figure out how each other works. They've added Morgan Lewis, who had that clutch free throw to get them that 1-point win. They've done a good job of kind of meshing. They just got to get the wins now.
Also moving down is the Windsor Express, coming in at number 5 in our rankings.
Well, as good as it was that they won the Clash at the Coliseum, which is, of course, a huge game for them, huge event for Windsor, they ended up losing most of their games in the week. They only went 2-3 for the week. They lost their last game. They're a good team, and again, they're just kind of working some problems out. But at this point, Windsor's had enough chances that they should be worked out. So they're going to have to figure out what's going on. I think roster moves might be the answer.
Moving up 2 spots is the Orangeville A's, coming in at 4th.
Yeah, Orangeville's been a surprising team. Last week, I think I said about 8 times that we didn't really know what they were. But they've done a good job of this past couple weeks. They went 2-1, which is a small sample size. And all of those games were decided by 1 point. So they might want to think about giving their coach less heart attacks this next stretch. But they're doing a good job of playing defense. They've kept all the point totals really low. And, I mean, as much as it's kind of iffy that they only had a +1 point differential for the entire 2 weeks, at the same time, they're 2-1, and that's worth it.
Coming in at number 3, St. John.
St. John's an interesting team because I really think that they're just as good as Halifax in terms of their roster and their lineup. It's just they're so reliant on their jump shooters that they end up having, if they have a bad game from their jump shooters, they end up struggling overall. So I think for St. John, they're a very dangerous team too. They're a lot like Moncton in that way. And when the ball's going in, they're great. But they don't really have a backup plan when the shots aren't going. That's the kind of their problem right now if they want to jump up and join Halifax.
And there you go, number 2, Halifax, going 4-1 these past 2 weeks.
Halifax has done an excellent job. They, of course, won their last game, and I think it's kind of clear at this point that they're the class of the East right now. They've been excellent start to finish, one of the most consistent teams in the NBL too. None of their losses are particularly bad either, so I think Halifax, again, they're kind of the start of that top tier alongside our number 1 team.
And that is the London Lightning staying at number 1. They did have their 9-game win streak broken up, but other than that, it's been a solid 2 weeks.
Well, part of it's because they played so much. They went 5-1 over the past 2 weeks. They played a lot of games, but they won almost all of them. And I mean, when you're playing the Clash at the Coliseum, Windsor's a super fired up team for that game. That's going to be a tough game to win no matter what. And that's their only loss of any note for the past while now. So London clearly on top.
And that'll just about wrap it up for our power rankings. Again, London comes in at number 1 once again.
Hey, welcome back. Brett Hedges and Kobe K here, talking about a guy that we were just speaking about in the last segment, Rick Bodiford, knocking down a big shot for the Orangeville A's earlier this week to win over the Windsor Express. Kelcey Wright of the Orangeville A's organization got to sit down with Rick in one of our exclusive player interviews.
All right, guys, I am here with Rick Bodiford of the Orangeville A's. Rick, you have hit 2 game winners now. One game was a last-second foul shot. Last night was a last-second three-pointer. You hit the ground, you got a man in your face. What was going through your mind at that time?
I was just glad Coach called my number. He did a good job of putting the confidence in me when he called the timeout. He told me he was coming to me, and I made the shot for the team.
And did you feel the pressure when he was writing up that play for you?
No, like I said, he does a good job of putting confidence in you. So as soon as he called the timeout, he told me we're gonna make this shot. We're going home. So that's what happened.
And Rick, you're not shooting 50% from the three-point line. Not many people do. What's going through your mind as that ball's releasing from your hand?
Go in. We need to win.
And it did.
Yeah.
Do you think you got fouled?
Yeah. But hey, that's the refs. That's the refs to make that call.
You came out on top. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, you didn't come out on top tonight.
Yeah.
What happened with you guys against the Niagara tonight?
We just struggled defensively. They made shots. We didn't guard the 3 well, so we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll watch film and we'll learn from it. We're a defensive team, but we didn't come playing defense today, so that's our problem.
Now you got 1 game against Windsor, and then you're on the road for 2 or 3 weeks. How you feeling about that?
I'm excited. We only played 1 team out east, and it was a battle, so I'm excited to see what the other side has to offer and get the win wins and get this win streak going again.
All right, well, you had a great game tonight. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome back, folks. Brett, we're going to discuss a player that we talked about on our first show, a gentleman that just returned back from injury, really starting to find his footing, a well-known player in this league, just a great baller, and that's Morgan Lewis.
Yeah, Morgan's been around this league for a very long time. He's played for multiple organizations. As you know, he can knock down multiple X amount of points on any night of the week. Set him up on the perimeter, have him knock down shots, go drive to the basket, pass, whatever you can do, whatever you want to do, he can do it. Morgan Lewis, a great guy. So in this video coming up, Morgan Lewis discusses his return back to the NBL Canada after suffering a severe injury.
It's good to be back on the court, man. Good to be back home in my home league. I feel like been here since year 1. It's all love, man. I'm glad I'm here. Kind of an unfortunate injury. I was playing out in Hamilton and just in a little summer all-star game, and just kind of one of those freak accidents, you know, like all the running and jumping I'm known to do. Like I just kind of shot a shot, you know, that initial hop step before you start running. I did that, and I felt it popping. It just shot in the back of my calf. It's hard to explain what I felt, but I was just upset the fact that I knew I was gonna miss probably this whole season. You know, like the doctors were telling me it'd be 9 to 10 months before I'd even be back on the court. Probably 12 to 13 months before I was actually able to be playing again. And it's been a long process. Luckily, you know, I have an amazing girl that supports me at home.
Morgan Lewis sustained an Achilles tendon rupture, and it is the most common injury for the tendon in the body, and it is definitely severe for what we call ballistic-based athletes that require explosive acceleration, jumping, pushing, and in a nutshell, that is basically Morgan Lewis on the basketball court, explosive and fast. And it is a devastating injury for a basketball player, as I mentioned, and anywhere between 12 months up to 18 months is the time period for recovery. And at the facility, we really focus on restoring neurological function. That was my #1 goal with him, and I made sure that he understood that included him in looking at himself better, seeing himself better. Anytime we did an exercise, a rehabilitation exercise where he was either standing on one limb or I was asking him to push off, I wanted him to visualize himself doing it normal without the injury, remembering what that was like, because the most important tissue on his body is his brain, and that's for all humans. And once his brain was involved, we were able to continue to push and try to get the strength regained. And it was and I'll be really honest with you, like I am amazed at the speed of recovery that has happened. I shook my head every single time he came in when he was able to do something that I really was able to push him at. And he should really take all the glory for it. I was just simply a vessel putting things in where I thought they needed to go, but he was really determined on coming back, and here he is right now.
It took me 10 to 12 months before I was playing again, but that was just kind of never an option for me. I never even for a second thought that I was going to miss this whole season. I didn't know how long I was going to make it, but you know, I'm big on visualization and trying to, you know, I believe in thoughts become things. I believe the mind is a little more powerful than we think it is, and if you use it correctly and you know, you can really do some strong things. And I credit that along with Dr. J, his magic hands, along with that and kind of just a strong mentality, man. Anything's possible. I know it sounds a little cliche and a little corny, but that's facts, man. That's facts. And and somehow I caught an alley-oop for my very first 2 points back, and I think that's just kind of like everything. When you look back, try to look forward, things don't add up, but when you're where you're at and you look back, normally the things add up and make sense. And just the player I am and the career I've had, I just think it was kind of poetry in motion that, you know, whether I should be going that hard or not, that my first play back was actually an alley-oop. So, you know, it keeps me optimistic. Just to keep pushing, man, and keep pushing. I'm not getting any younger, but like I said, if you believe it, man, you can make it happen. Joe, he has a lot of faith in me. He's been around since the beginning of the league, like I have, so he knows the player that I have been and that I can be. And he's not putting any pressure on me. He's kind of letting me ease my way back into it and get my rhythm and juice back. And you know, I didn't have any high expectations today. I wasn't expecting to score 30 points or play 30, 40 minutes. You know, I just getting out there for my confidence and just myself, to prove myself I can get back out there. So day by day, man, it will be good. I promise by the time playoffs come around, you know, I'm gonna be very productive for this team.
All right, and welcome back. This next segment is for all of you stat heads. We're going to be featuring a player that has totaled 120 collective assists, averaging 9.23 a game as a point guard for the Niagara River Lions. This is Chuck Miller's cool stat of the week.
Hi, Chuck Miller, your NBL Canada League statistician, with your NBL Canada Cool Stat of the Week. Sammy Zaglinski of the Niagara River Lions leads all players this season with 120 assists. At this pace, he could reach the record for most assists in a single season. That's 248, set by Al Stewart, then of the Summerside Storm during the 2012-13 season. And that's your NBL Canada Cool Stat of the Week.
Thanks, Chuck, and thank you, fans, for checking out another episode of the NBL Canada Live podcast. Kobe, always a fun time with you in studio, my friend.
Always is, Brett. You know I love sitting next to you doing our thing. That's going to do it from all of us here at NBL Canada. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, but don't go anywhere because we're going to let you guys get out of here with our NBL Canada weekly highlights.
Against Team Wright. Thompson. Oh, Maurice Golden.
Oh my goodness, he got that one.
That's a short. Tony Bennett to Shaquille O'Keefe.
Zaglinski now, long three from the near side as he drops that one.
Bounce pass, Williamson. Keeper's handing it off to David Ford. Wow!
0.3 on the clock. He finds Bodiford. Bodiford for the three. It's good! Oh boy!
They're just looking so much more comfortable with one another, you know.
Thompson fires it right across. Great pass to McQueen. Finishes it at the hoop. Takes it up.
Bodiford going to the cup, but a nice pass.
Shot clock. Blocked by Mo Bolden.
Pulls a nice move there, drives to the net, blocked by Mike.
Capers in transition.
Oh, nice finish. Beautiful finish.
For the London Light number 44. NBL Canada, get live.